What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of How is Bigger Gonna Piss the World Off? Because apparently that's what I do now. Let's get into it. I tried to do this video. I recorded it like 5 or 6 times. It's super long, so I'm going to be putting the entire video on Patreon. And right now, I'm going to try to do like a 2-3 minute edit of what it is that I was saying. What I'm doing is attempting to answer some of the questions that I asked in previous videos. So, like I said, all of the questions aren't going to be here, but they will be on my Patreon. The biggest question is, when did rape become resistance? And in my opinion, rape has never been resistance. Rape has always been something used as an aggressive measure by the oppressor. However, in this situation, what I believe is that the reason that it is being excused as resistance is because of the victim. I believe personally that if this was perpetrated among any other group of people, there will be no single person or no group of people asking for proof. But because the victims were Jewish, there are people that are going to deny it because they are Jews. The reason for this is because Jews throughout history have always been regarded as less than human. This is why we are able to do all the bullshit that we have done to Jews and not feel no way about it, because we don't view them as human beings, not unlike how America viewed the slave. Do people actually want a ceasefire, or do they want Israel to just fucking go the fuck home and stop doing shit? I believe personally that that is what people actually want. I believe part of that is because they don't understand, a lot of people don't understand, that there are still rockets being fired daily into Israel, but because of the Iron Dome, they're not fucking getting the casualties that that we're seeing over in Gaza. But the reality is that most people only want Israel to stop because they really believe that Israel is being the aggressor, even though what they're doing is simply defending themselves after a vicious, atrocious, disgusting attack which occurred on 10/7, which nobody likes to talk about, which is another thing that I brought up. Why is it that nobody wants to talk about 10/7? The reason for that, in my opinion, is because once you discuss 10/7, then everything that comes behind it makes sense. And that is the problem. You can't bump the narrative that people in Gaza are being obliterated for no fucking reason if you don't discuss October 7th, right? So they don't discuss it so that when we see what we're seeing over there, we can view it as just Israel being assholes. What is the native tongue of the Palestinian, and what is the native tongue of the land that they are currently in? The native tongue of the Palestinian is Arab, which is a colonial language, period. Why is it a colonial language? Because the mother tongue of that land, Israel, Palestine, whatever you want to call it, the mother tongue is Hebrew. Don't get mad at me. Be mad at your mama, she didn't teach you that. The thing that really bothers me a lot is when I see people refer to the conflict and they only want to start the history at 1948. Who ran that swath of land before 1948? I'll give you a hint. Starts with a B and ends with a written. Has there ever been a state of Palestine? The answer to that question is very simple. No. Why does Israel have an Iron Dome? Simple. Because they give a fuck about the people of Israel. That is a defense system that they built to protect themselves. Why is there not something at least similar in Gaza? The answer to that is equally simple. Because Hamas, not only do they not care about their civilians, they view them as basically pawns, as props. And this is something that is not, it's not something that we, especially in America, but in the Western world period, this is not something that we are used to. Nobody uses hostages or their own people like shields, but these motherfuckers do. That's the difference. And this is starting to get long, which is why I did it on Patreon. So the last question that I'm going to answer is, does Israel have the right to exist? Abso-fucking-lutely. period, full stop. And if you believe that they don't, well, you're wrong, period. Anyway, I'm going to end this here. Have the day that you deserve.